welcome to Everyday Simple Somatics, a podcast dedicated to helping you find healing through your body's natural wisdom. I'm Dr. Christine Baker, and I'll be your host. So yesterday was my daughter's birthday party, and before the party, we went and got her hair rebraided, which normally takes about 4.5, 5 hours with the lady that we've been using. But yesterday, when we went, we actually ended up with a different braider, and she did such a good job. Riley's hair looked amazing, but it did end up taking 6 hours instead of the normal 4.5, 5. So while I'm so grateful for how beautiful the work was that she did and how intentional she was with her hair, it did mean that we got home with less than an hour before the party started. So there I was, trying to shower. I hadn't eaten any lunch yet. I had to get ready. I had to make myself presentable for this party, all in 40 minutes. My sweet husband is coming in every 5 minutes being like, what needs to be packed? Where are the candles? Do we need to bring anything other than these goodie bags? All valid questions. He's being so helpful by helping me get it all packed because I didn't have time. But in that moment, it was a lot for my brain. And so I'm putting on my mascara and I noticed something. My hand's shaking. It was just this little tremor. It wasn't like a full-on shake, but just a little shaky. I had this moment where I just went, oh, look at that. My nervous system is pretty activated right now. And that is what I want to talk about today. Originally this week's episode was supposed to be about what to do when you feel like you've lost that holiday joy. And to be honest, I actually recorded that episode along with 2 others last Thursday. And for some reason, the sound did not record. And so here I am, Sunday morning before church, re-recording the episode. And honestly, it kind of felt a little bit like a God moment because I had this moment yesterday and I thought, you know what? I feel like so many of us are experiencing that. Kind of that shaky overwhelm is what I'm calling it. Mid-December, this is happening everywhere. I saw a mom yesterday that I'm friends with on social media. She went to a 5K, Christmas 5K with her daughter. Then she had 2 cookie exchanges that afternoon. Another mom who came to Riley's party was telling me about, she went to the same 5K, then went to a cookie party, then dropped her kids off to go show some houses because she's a realtor, then went and picked her kids back up and brought them to Riley's party. I mean, everyone is just trying to survive this season, still create these magical holiday moments, and we are running on fumes and adrenaline. And so today I want to teach you what I did in that moment for my shaky hand, some real-time safety affirmations that you can use in the middle of this chaotic season to help support your nervous system through it. So for those of you that don't know me, I'm Dr. Christine Baker. I'm a licensed professional counselor with 13 years of experience in trauma recovery. I'm also a somatic experiencing practitioner, which just means that I'm a person that believes strongly that mental health healing comes through addressing the stuck places in the body, specifically the nervous system. And that is exactly where this podcast came from. My hope is that these short symptom-based episodes will provide you with practical nervous system skills that you can turn into rhythms of regulation in your life. Because here's the deal. When we start doing consistent practice of regulating our nervous system, not just those one-time things, that's where we really start to see long-term change. And that is my hope for everyone who listens to this podcast. And so if that resonates for you, I'd love to invite you to like and subscribe to this podcast on whatever platform you're currently watching or listening. All of those little clicks really do help other people find this content, and I'd so appreciate it. So let's talk for a second about what is actually happening when you notice that shaky, jittery, overwhelmed feeling in your body. So this is sympathetic nervous system activation. Dr. Stephen Porges, who we talk about a lot on this podcast, would say that your nervous system has moved into a mobilization state, which is, in simpler terms, that fight and flight that we talk about. If you don't know what I'm talking about when it comes to nervous systems or fight and flight or sympathetic or parasympathetic, I'd really encourage you to go back and listen to the first 10 episodes of this podcast. It is like a basics crash course of the nervous system. It'll give you some great vocabulary that we use throughout these different episodes. So When we are in this sympathetic activation, our body is literally preparing us to deal with a threat. Our heart rate increases, our breathing gets shallow, blood starts to move to our large muscle groups because it's prepping to, fight or run away. We get flooded with stress hormones like cortisol and adrenaline, and this can show up as shaky hands, like with my mascara, that jittery kind of restless feeling, a racing heart, feeling like you can't sit still, your stomach being in knots, that wired but tired feeling. And why this is all happening is because in your brain, your amygdala, which is that threat detection center, it's letting you know, when you're safe and not safe. It is screaming, danger, we need to move fast, there's a threat. But the reality is here, and I'm sure a lot of you can relate to this, there's no actual threat. Being late to my daughter's birthday party isn't ideal, but it's also not life-threatening, right? Forgetting the candles is not going to kill me because urban air probably has some, but your nervous system doesn't know the difference between running late and I'm being chased by a bear. Dr. Peter Levine teaches us that our bodies respond to perceived threat the same way they respond to actual threat. Your nervous system is just trying to help you survive what it perceives as danger. So you're not some kind of broken. Your nervous system is just confused about the level of threat that you're experiencing. And in mid-December, let's be honest, everything feels urgent and threatening. There's deadlines, expectations, social obligations, financial pressure, lack of sleep. Your routines are all off, and all of that compounds to where your nervous system is getting threat signals all day long. And when we are experiencing that kind of chronic stress, our body is going to stay in a state of hyperarousal. We're not getting a chance to come back down to baseline before the next stressor hits. And so we are living in this constant state of shaky overwhelm, and our bodies literally can't tell the difference between that holiday stress and actual danger. But here's the good news. We can intervene right in the moment. We don't have to wait until the day is over so that we can do a full 30-minute practice to, regulate our nervous system. We can give our nervous system little bits of information about safety while we are still in the middle of it all. So let's get into it. I want to walk you through a couple of the things that I did yesterday to help remind my body that my life was not in danger. So the first thing I did was I just noticed and named it. Right? So I just noticed what's happening. Oh, look at that. My hand's shaking while I'm trying to put on mascara, which made me kind of check in a little bit more into my body. Okay, so is it just this or is there other stuff happening too? And I noticed my heart was racing. My breathing wasn't going down into my stomach. I felt very jittery. Then just name it, okay, my nervous system is activated right now. That's it. You don't have to judge it. You don't even have to try to stop it yet. Just notice it. That kind of internal tracking, right? We have a whole episode on tracking if you don't know what that is. Just notice it and name it. That simple act of observation actually pulls you into the present moment and starts to activate your prefrontal cortex, which helps regulate the amygdala, which helps move us back into our window of tolerance. So once you've noticed and named it, you're going to start to give your nervous system other options. So while you're doing whatever you need to do, putting on your mascara, packing the car, sending emails, whatever that is, you just start speaking truth to your nervous system. So some of the phrases I used yesterday: you're safe. Being late is not a threat to my life. This feels urgent, but it's not dangerous. I'm okay. Riley's okay. We're all okay. Which sounds really cheesy, but it was so important to be able to give my nervous system accurate information. We're pretty much saying, hey, I know, body, that you think we're in danger, but we're actually safe. This is stressful, but it's not life-threatening. Dr. Stephen Porges calls this neural exercises, where we are using our social engagement system, particularly our voice and language, to send safety signals to our own nervous system. And if you're able, I'd love to add step 3, which is to start to add some physical grounding. So while you're affirming safety, take your shoes off so that you can feel the floor under your bare feet. That kind of direct contact really helps give your nervous system the message, I'm supported. I'm connected to something solid here. You could also do some supportive self-touch, like a hand on the heart, hand on the belly, or press your back into the chair. You don't have to stop what you're doing. You're just adding a grounding element as you continue to move through the task. And so I literally finished my makeup with one hand on my heart and the other doing mascara. Another little basic thing that you could add that has become a new regular part of my routine when I need a little bit of regulation is to slow down my exhale. So whenever you have a moment, even just a few seconds, you're going to make your exhale slightly longer than your inhale. Again, you don't have to stop and do like a 15-minute Wim Hof breathing practice. Just catch yourself and do 1 or 2 longer exhales. For instance, you could breathe in through your nose for 4 and out through your mouth for 6. That longer exhale activates your vagal brake and tells your nervous system, I'm so safe, I can slow down here. And I really did this yesterday. Once I had gotten all the things, I was ready to go, I was in the car. That was when I started to do a little bit of that longer exhale as we were driving to urban air. And it really helped. I could feel my shoulders drop. I could start to feel, the seat in the car below me. It was super, super helpful. And then finally, I want you to celebrate the win, right? Acknowledge what you're accomplishing. Not in a you should be grateful way, but more in a look what you're handling way. I'm getting ready while my nervous system is activated and I'm supporting it as I do. Every time I use these skills and I feel the difference, it is like such a little pep talk to my younger self, that didn't think life could be anything other than anxiety all the time, right? Say something to yourself like, I'm managing all of this, even though it feels like a lot, or my body is having to work really hard right now, and I appreciate all that my body can do for me. I really think that helps shift from I'm failing because I'm overwhelmed to I have skills to be able to handle this as I'm overwhelmed. One of my students in the Somatic Wellness Collective shared something similar recently. Hers wasn't Christmas related, but she was talking about how she has 3 kids and she was getting them ready for school, packing lunches. She had an early session. She said her whole body was vibrating with the stress. And she told me, she said, Christine, I took off my shoes and I told myself there was no bear in the room, which is a phrase I use a lot with clients and in the Somatic Wellness Collective. So just a little bit of grounding and just telling your nervous system that you're okay really can help make that feeling of absolute chaos settle a little. She said, I still felt stressed, but I didn't feel like the stress was going to swallow me up. That's a big difference, and that truly is what nervous system regulation is all about. It's not possible to eliminate every form of stress in your life. That's just the world that we live in, right? But we are just trying to remain connected to ourselves and to the people around us that we love as we move through what can be a stressful season. So in closing, here's what I want you to know. You do not have to wait until you have a calm moment to be able to calm your nervous system. You can do that calming in the midst of the intensity. And honestly, that's probably even better for your system because it expands that window of tolerance or that capacity to be able to hold the hard. And so the next time you notice that shaky overwhelm, and if you're listening to this mid-December, that might be today or in the next hour, I want you to just try what we talked about. Notice it, name it, speak truth to your nervous system, add a little physical grounding, slow that exhale, and then acknowledge what you're doing. Give yourself a little pat on the back for, I'm responding to this differently than I ever have, and that feels good. And if you're thinking, okay, Christine, but I need more prompts like this. I need more of those one-liners so that I can talk to my nervous system. I actually created a free resource called Parasympathetic Prompts. It's like a 1-page PDF with one-liners that I use to help return my clients' nervous systems to safety and my nervous system to safety. I will say I just met with my marketing coach and she told me, Christine, no one knows what parasympathetic means. So if you listen to this in the next week or two, it's probably going to be renamed to something like de-stressing prompts or something more recognizable. But ultimately, it is a 1-page PDF that helps you return to safety. and feel less stressed. They're designed to be quick shifts that you can use anytime. And so if you're interested in that, I will put the link to that in the show notes, completely free. I hope that it can be supportive to you in this season and in the ones to follow. So next week, the episode will actually be released on Christmas Eve. And so we are going to be talking about how to really absorb those precious moments with your family, kids, friends, whoever you're with during the holiday season, how to really allow yourself to take those things in so that you can actually enjoy this holiday instead of just survive it. So thank you so much for being here today. Thank you for giving me 15 minutes of your time, even in the middle of the busiest season of the year. And so as we wrap up, just that reminder I give every week, your body has innate wisdom. All we have to do is learn how to listen to it. And that's what I'm here for. I'll see you next week.